Merry meet Annie here. The dark moon in November is about to grace us with its presence. And what would you name this quiet time within the month of November and deep within the season of Samhain? I don't have a one-word relationship to this particular dark moon. For me, it is more of a feeling. That feeling is described as all is as it should be. Truth be told, I could describe every dark moon that way, but there is something about this time of the year when nature provides lessons in the very same thing that makes it that much more poignant for me. You know how in the Charge of the Goddess, she instructs us when to gather at the full moon, and she says whenever you have need of anything, and best it be that once in the month when the moon is full. I'd write a charge of the dark goddess that started with, whenever you are free from want, and best it be when the moon is dark. There's something primal and beautiful about the darkness of the dark moon that demands we give over and just let life be. Primal because our deep instinct is to know when we are too active, too overstimulated, and too emotionally drained. Everything needs its time of nothingness, for lack of a better word, nothingness. Even if we manage to honor that ancient wisdom of withdrawal only once in the month, when best it be that the moon is dark, we are re-engaging with one of the most basic needs of being human. We don't withdraw into the haven of the dark moon thinking that when we return from our meditations, the world will somehow be changed. But we do think, and it will be so if we live in accord with our meditations, return to the world changed ourselves. We'll be a bit slow to react, a bit less dramatic in our emotions, and likely a bit less eager to butt our heads up against the intractable things in our lives. That is, if we're willing to learn the lesson of the dark moon and then live in accord with it. And we'll notice the dark moon in other times of our lives. We'll feel it within ourselves, and we'll see the possibility of interludes of respite in our days. And like the time we spend in formal acknowledgement of the dark moon, we will find that a little bit of darkness goes a long way. And when we create quiet, no matter in how short of a time span, it will spread its influence across the breadth of our day. I don't personally do a lot in my dark moon rituals. I set them aside specifically for being still and for having that energy then available to me during the month that comes after. There's usually a word or two that I take into ritual, perhaps a short reading or a poem. And my backup reading for the dark moon, whenever new words haven't presented themselves, is Julian of Norwich's beautiful phrase. Some of you might be thinking already that you know what I'm going to say. All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of thing shall be well. As I assembled the bits and pieces I'll use for this dark moon, which includes what we're doing in the season of Dedicant and the bits and pieces I gather personally for myself, I took up a poem that I wrote several years ago that is part of my daily words for the season project. This week here has been a hint of winter to come. There's very little color left in the trees, and because of the winds that have been part of the week, every morning there are fewer leaves. The woods surrounding our house are changing dramatically overnight, and every morning the vista is different than it was the day before. I am reminded that while it feels so very different day to day now, that my poem, It reminds me that it's been just like this in previous years, maybe not so different year to year. Nothing really changes after all. The word for the day that I wrote for my word for each day of this season was assurance. And this is what I wrote in my collection of poems on the season, and in this instance on assurance. The forest cannot be sure when the wind will declare war, or when the cold will grab it by the roots and turn wood to stone. But it does know that all is as it should be. Strength is born in the moment-to-moment struggle for survival. Everything that is asserts its desire to be. The dignity of nature is its great I am. I can, because I must, firm of stance, strong of mind, I grow into my strength. I'm going to take a paraphrased quote from that into my dark moon. I know that all is as it should be. And I'm going to challenge myself to explore that possibility. And of course, I will take Julienne into my ritual. All is well, and all shall be well, and all manner of thing shall be well. What will you take into the dark moon that speaks to the essential place within you that honors the need to go quiet? And what of that will you take into the month to come? Just like the energy of the full moon, which carries us on a tide. Lunar tide includes the tide of the dark moon also. I wish you, in this approaching energy of the dark moon in November, mirth and reverence. Mary Part.